Together pretty girl and sing. Rock up in a crease, circle in a song, and the banana try out them plan. Come, girl, make me go straight, for that is all that we can do. Engine a run with fire and cool. The girl them a come with a naked baboon. Come, girl, make me go straight, for that is all that we can do. Now I am a old man walking this street. Look how the girl them a love a guy. Ah, boy, I saw this life go. But one day you will go. All of the girl them a run down. All of the girl them a run down. Look how the girl them a run down. Mama said the girl them a run down. Look how they run down. Mama, and them a run down. Bang they run down. All of the girl them a run down. Mama said the girl them a run down. Sadarina what the young girl want. Sadarina.
Put up the
Sadarina.
Put up the Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Bucket clear. All down.
DJ Cameron. DJ Cameron.
Sadarina what the young girl want. Sadarina. Sadarina.
The trek to England now is the only craze, so the girl them get vicious nowadays. When you hear them want them England fear, them woulda carry down Tata with them grey hair. So man look out, I hope you hear. The girl them a look them England fear. Watch yourself, I tell you mate. Now make them call you England mate. I met a girl with a man about 70. I thought the old man was her grandpappy. But she tell me no, he's her boyfriend, and she's going off to England next weekend. Some man look out, I hope you hear. The girl them a look them England fear. Watch yourself, I tell you mate. Now make them call you England mate. A barmaid working down on Water Lane. Suddenly she start to cry for pain. By the time the boss will take her stock, she was on a boat just pulling out the dock. Some man look out, I hope you hear. The girl them a look them England fear. Watch yourself, I tell you mate. Now make them call you England mate. A man leave him wife and gone to work. I tell you, is that man get the jerk? When him come the night and ask for Jane, the neighbors tell him she catch an aeroplane. Some man look out, I hope you hear. The girl them a look them England fear. Watch yourself, I tell you mate. Now make them call you England mate. A man going to England, so I hear. Some man look out, I hope you hear. The girl them a look them England fear. Watch yourself, don't hesitate. Now make them call you England beat. Right up, Papa. Bam bam bale, la la, lombo lom bam bam, bimbo bo lom bam, bimbo lobo lom bam, lobo lobo lom bam, bam bam. Yes, slide mongoose, mongoose your name gone abroad. Slide mongoose, mongoose your name gone abroad. Mongoose walking a Sutton Street, seat himself at the IG's feet. Said the policeman feel the heat. Slide mongoose. Mr. Slide mongoose, brother dog know your name. Slide mongoose, or you going to lose your fame. Mongoose going in a police theater, say to God say my operator. The manager say better call back later. Slide mongoose.
Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. Only one good morning back. Let me try that again. Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. Montego Bay is a friendly city, you know, so I'll try that a third time. Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen. Just waking up, I can understand. The city that never sleeps in Jamaica, so I'll try a fourth time. Good morning, everyone. Sounds like maybe a 5 o'clock voice, so let's try for a fifth time. Good morning, everybody. Sounding better like morning and sounding like Montegonians. All right, so guess what? It's almost showtime. The Prime Minister is almost here. We are now witnessing the arrival of the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, who has arrived. And so momentarily we'll have Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, in our midst. Once again, immediately after our ceremony here, we'll be witnessing the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Heart NSTA Trust and China Harbour Engineering, followed by, of course, the groundbreaking, where they dig into the earth, signaling the start of what I consider this massive legacy project that will serve generations to come in Jamaica. May I ask that once the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister enter, that everyone stand, and then of course we'll go into the national anthem and begin the proceedings immediately. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand and a round of applause for the arrival of Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness. Of course, the photographers need their photos. And of course, the Prime Minister is observing the COVID protocols as well. And so, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, as we officially begin the start of the ceremony marking the groundbreaking for the construction of the Montego Bay Perimeter Road here in Montego Bay, St. James. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthem of Jamaica. Please remain standing as we invite Bishop Roel Robinson, Senior Pastor of the Montego Bay New Testament Church of God, to open with prayers.
Moderator, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, what a beautiful day to give God thanks and to hand over the nation's affair to Him. We are reminded by Scripture, in all thy ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct our path. Let us pray. Eternal God and our Father, who sit among the cherubims of heaven, you rule in the affairs of men. We come to you this morning. We bless and honor your name because you are God. All that we say or do, we seek to do it and to say to your glory. The heaven is your throne. The earth is your footstool. Jamaica is a part of your creation and your habitation. We glorify you. We come with our hearts bending lower than our knees, with an attitude of gratitude for your mercies, and also to hand over the affairs of this country to you. Regardless of our many tests and trials, challenges, you are still blessing this lovely island. We thank you. Your mercies endure it forever. Lord, we pause to give you thanks for the Honorable Prime Minister. We thank you for his leadership. We thank you for his deputy. We thank you, Lord, for his entire administrative team that continue to lead this country aright. We thank you for the members of parliament, even the members of parliament of the West. We give you thanks for other stakeholders, interest groups present today who will join hearts, hands, and effort together in the commencement of and completion of this project. Lord, having given the vision for this project, we ask through your power to complete it in the name of Jesus. We pray for everyone who will be saddled with the task of undertaking, Lord, such a mammoth task. The contractors, supervisors, tradesmen, laborers, hewer of woods and carrier of waters. I place them in your hands. Lord, let the spirit of unity prevail as this project unfolds and progresses. I pray against the loss of lives and limbs by accidents or any unforeseen danger. Let the unfolding project bring glory to your name and blessing to the region and Jamaica at large. We ask you, Heavenly Father, to stay the hands of hoodlums who have disruptive spirit and perpetuate crime and violence. We hand over just about everyone in your hands. Father, bless our Prime Minister. Give him strength, oh God, the strength of Solomon, oh God, the versatility as David, Almighty God, and the courage as Joshua. Bless this gathering this morning, a sign of great things to come. Bless the political fraternity. Bless everyone and the position they hold. God, we hand over this function to you. Let everything that is said and done, that will be said and done, will be to the honor and to the glory of your name. Eternal Father, bless our land. Guide us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil power. Be our light through countless hours. To our leaders, great defenders, grant true wisdom from above. Justice and truth be ours forever. Jamaica, 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 land we love. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Bishop Robinson, thank you so much. You may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. The Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Deputy Prime Minister. Cabinet ministers present. Ministers of State who are present. Members of the Senate and members of the House of Representatives. His Excellency Chen Daozheng, the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the People's Republic of China. Permanent Secretaries. His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Leroy Williams, the Mayor of Montego Bay. Mr. Lu Yongpen, the General Manager of China Harbour Engineering Company Limited of the Americas. Mr. Su Yang-sun, the Deputy General Manager of CHEC. Executive representatives of the public sector organizations and stakeholders, specially invited guests, members of the community in Montego Bay, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the media, and by the way, we are broadcasting live on several social media pages and your hometown radio station, More 91 FM. Good morning, everybody. You know, I want a better good morning, but I think you're saving it for the Prime Minister because he'll ask for a hearty good morning. This is the friendly city of Montego Bay, and we are here to do a big job because it will serve Jamaica for generations to come. The groundbreaking ceremony of the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project here this morning. Well, the man who is tasked to ensure that you feel welcomed and that you are welcomed, the Mayor of Montego Bay, His Worship, Councillor Leroy Williams, will bring you greetings. Give him a round of applause.
Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, distinguished guests, good morning. As the Mayor of the City of Montego Bay, it gives me great pleasure to welcome everyone here to the beautiful, growing, and friendly city of Montego Bay. I wish to express gratitude on behalf of the citizens of St. James for this critical infrastructure project, which promises to make all our commuting lives easier. This project gives us hope for a brighter future for the development of our wonderful city and, by extension, all of Western Jamaica. The Perimeter Road will augur well for the city infrastructural development, add value to the tourism product, improve the city's commercialization, reduce loss in productivity time as a result of traffic congestion, and change the city's overall image. This is a momentous addition to the city's landscape, and with improved ease of movement, this city would have moved closer to first world standard. We know there will be dislocation for a few months, but we are prepared to sacrifice for the long-term good. Nevertheless, we expect the contractors and the government supervising engineers will take all necessary measures to minimize dislocation. The municipal authority commits to playing our part in enforcing the rules to ensure this project is successful and completed within time. I wish to especially thank the administration of the Most Honorable Andrew Holness for having the vision and determination to build this roadway. May it be to all our good. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, His Worship, Councillor Leroy Williams. And now, ladies and gentlemen, may I invite representing members of Parliament for the parish of St. James, the Honourable Marlene Malahoo Fort, to bring greetings.
Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Andrew Michael Holness, Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. the Honourable Horace Chang, Ambassador of the Republic of China to Jamaica, His Excellency Ching Dao Jiang, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, so warmly acknowledged by our Master of Ceremony. On this very special occasion of the groundbreaking ceremony for the Montego Bay Bypass Road, I greet you with much pride and joy on behalf of the members of Parliament for the parish of St. James. I am proud, ladies and gentlemen, because when I came to St. James as a candidate for the office of Member of Parliament, I heard the cries of the people. I was told by my St. James West Central constituents in particular that for many years the people have pleaded for a bypass. I was told that successive governments promised a bypass because the case had been well made. And I told them that when you shall have entrusted your representation to the team led by our leader, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, we will deliver. And this morning, we are delivering. There was a time when a groundbreaking ceremony was a show. Under Prime Minister Holness's leadership, groundbreaking marks an actual stage of what is to come in short order. To the team that will execute the project, please understand how eager the people are for this critical development, not only in St. James, but for the entire Western Jamaica. We are expecting world-class standard, first-class standard because at the end of the day, we expect that our city will rival any city anywhere in the world. All who commute in and around St. James, Montego Bay in particular, and all who pass through, experience the agony of traffic congestion and flooding when it rains. And they are longing for the relief. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this groundbreaking today shows that we are visioning the future. We're building a stronger Jamaica. And as members of Parliament, we commit to do our part and to represent your best interest on all occasions. Good morning.
Thank you, Member of Parliament Marlene Malahoo Ford. And now one of our partners will speak with us, Mr. Lee Young Peng, the General Manager of China Harbour Engineering Company, the Americas Division.
Most Honorable Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Andrew Onis, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. of National Security, Dr. Horace Chan, Honorable Chinese Ambassador to America, Dr. Chen Dongjiang, Honorable Minister of the Government, members of Parliament, officials, special invited guests, members of press. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As a General Manager of CHEC, China Harbour, I'm so excited today. I'm pleased to be here today to participate in these important occasions. I'm happy because the team is here celebration with our Jamaica friends, not just the great breaking ceremony for the Montego Bay Road, but all the personal economic development. At CHEC, we are committed to applying our engineering experience to the sustainable development of the region. We are committed to using our knowledge and resource to assist the government and people of the Jamaica to create more jobs. We are committed to consider the amount of the maximum experienced local contractors and persons working together with this project. Additionally, with this project, CHEC intends to achieve above target by the engaging training programs. This will be done through the cooperation between the CHEC and the Hard Trust and the universities of the West Indies. When we signed this agreement, we promised that this project will employ approximately 90% of the unskilled construction laborers and up to 50% for the technical jobs. But today, I will make another commitment to increase Jamaica labor force to 95%. So today, I hope that everyone will continue to support and watch us work. China Harbour will become Jamaica Harbour soon. It's on the way. Over the years, China Harbour has undertaken major infrastructure roadwork projects in Jamaica, and we are not failed our target. We thank the Jamaica government and people for the trust and support, and we are looking forward to working with more local partners and create a better Jamaica. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lu Young Peng, the General Manager for China Harbour Engineering, the Americas Division. Well, another partner, Mr. Su Young Sang, the Deputy General Manager of CHEC, will now bring greetings.
Most Honorable Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Andrew Onis, Honorable Deputy Prime Manager, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chan, Honorable Chinese Ambassador to Jamaica, Dr. Chen Daojiang, Honorable Minister of Government, members of Parliament, dignitaries, officials, specially invited guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's my great pleasure and honor to welcome you on behalf of China Harbor Engineering Company to this groundbreaking ceremony. Before I continue, however, allow me, Most Honorable Prime Minister, to use this opportunity to congratulate you and your team in gradually achieving the goals outlined in Jamaica's Vision 2030 National Development Plan. China Harbors had a long-standing relationship with the government and the people of Jamaica, and we are committed to the prosperity of our Jamaica friends. China Harbor and Jamaica's relationship forms the basis of the several mutual cooperation, commercial arrangements, projects, and other initiatives planned and already pursued by China Harbor with the government of Jamaica. One of the most famous of those initiatives and China Harbor's first overseas investment project in Jamaica was the Jamaica North-South Highway. For China Harbor, the North-South Highway is not just 67 kilometers of roadway. However, it was the beginning of a firm milestone for the friendship between Jamaica and the People's Republic of China. China Harbor's other investments in Jamaica include the construction of the first urban center in Jamaica to be called the Morant Bay Urban Center. Other notable projects include the Palisadoes Shoreline Improvement Project, Jamaica Development Infrastructure Program, the Major Infrastructure Development Program, and the ongoing Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. I am delighted to be here today, participating the groundbreaking ceremony for the development of Montego Bay Perimeter Road Project, which highlights China Harbor's continuous contribution to Jamaica's national development. The perimeter road will be designed and constructed by China Harbor to world-class specification and of renowned artwork quality. We assure you, with the completion of this road, Jamaicans and all visitors will travel in comfort and ease along this roadway, finally saying farewell to the heavy traffic congestion in the second largest city, and welcome an increase in economic development along the corridors, where the highway is intended to play an important role in Jamaica's infrastructure development and economic life. We must move quickly towards giving ourselves other reason or occasion to celebrate by funding and implementing other projects and initiatives which are also capable of fueling economic growth and directly impact the quality of the life of the people of Jamaica. China Harbor's dedication to this great country has led us to contribute in the area of housing development, and we are proud to have been entrusted with the opportunity to assist Jamaicans with owning their own homes by supplying affordable housing solutions to the Jamaican people. Our commitment to Jamaica and its people is strong. and we are looking forward to working with more local partners to create a better future. May Jamaica continue on the path of a successful and prosperous future, and we wish good health and fortune to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Su Young-sang, the Deputy General Manager of China Harbour Engineering, and for the commitments that you have given for the successful completion of this project and your stay in Jamaica. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have a cultural performance by one of your very own, Mr. Michael Wilson, violinist. Ladies and gentlemen, your very own Mr. Michael Wilson, violinist. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we present to you the Ambassador Plenipotentiary from the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Chen Daozheng.
The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, His Worship the Mayor, Larry William, Ms. Yun Song Su, Deputy General Manager of the Czech, Mr. Yun Peng Lu, General Manager of Czech American Division, honorable ministers and state ministers, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to come here to witness the groundbreaking ceremony of Montgomery Pyramid Road project. First, please allow me, on behalf of Chinese government, to congratulate you on the groundbreaking of this project. It's very meaningful to make my first English speech in Jamaica here. There is a saying in China, to be rich, build a road. Infrastructure investment is important to the socio-economic development of the country. This is a valuable lesson we learned from China's fast development since the reform and opening up 40 years ago. The Belt and Road Corporation is to improve the connectivity of more countries. It will help us achieve common development and build a community with a shared future for mankind. I'm very happy to say that our two countries share the same vision on this. I believe the Montgomery Pyramid Road will be a road that improves the conditions of the West and lead to convenience, but also a road that promotes the socio-economic development of Jamaica and lead to prosperity. More importantly, it is a road that shows the shared goals of our two countries and lead to the long-lasting friendship. This year marks the 60th anniversary of Jamaica's independence and its way to reignite a nation for greatness. This year also marks the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relationship between China and Jamaica. Two countries faced new development opportunities. President Xi Jinping proposed the Global Development Initiative last year, which put connectivity one of the most important areas. China wishes to take this chance to deepen practical cooperation, including infrastructure with Jamaica. The two countries could implement the GDI together and promote high-quality belt and road cooperation to carry the China-Jamaica strategic partnership to a new level. Czech is one of the first Chinese companies that entered Jamaica. The North-South Highway it builds had been a good example of bilateral cooperation. It will witness the signing ceremony between Czech and Hart. The Jamaican officials training organization. China will deepen cooperation with Jamaica in infrastructure development and training talents. I believe with its rich experience and professionalism, Czech will build Montego Bay Pyramid Road with high quality and finish project on time. This project would be another benchmark of high quality belt and road cooperation. I wish this project a complete success. Thank you.
Ambassador, well done for your first English speech here in Jamaica. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you for the commitments that you have made in ensuring that Jamaica and China remain strong partners together. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a man that is on the ground operationally helping to drive these projects, the minister, I beg your pardon, the minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Honorable Clifford Warmington, who will give us an overview of this project.
Most Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Ambassador, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is an honor to be here today at the groundbreaking ceremony for a project that is but one aspect of the vision for the development of effective road network in Jamaica and represent months of collaboration and planning between the government and its partners. In November last year, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation signed a design and construction contract with China Harbour Engineering Company for the execution of the work on the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project. The project aims to develop an alternative route around the central business district in Montego Bay to reduce congestion in the city and stimulate economic growth. Montego Bay, which is the only city in Western Jamaica, is a major hub for government services to St. James and its neighboring parishes. The bypass project will therefore provide additional capacity to the work network and the possibility of opening new development along the corridor. The $274.5 million project, which is being implemented by the National Road Operation and Construction Company on behalf of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, includes the following works: the Montego Bay Perimeter Road, Barnett Street, West Green Avenue Road rehabilitation. This includes rehabilitation and expansion works, Long Hill Bypass, which effectively will reduce traffic congestion, and a comprehensive design drainage study of the Montego Bay Bypass area and the greater Montego Bay. A negotiating team was formed comprising representatives of the National Works Agency, the National Works Operating Construction Company, Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, ACJ Consultant Limited, and the Attorney General's Department, led by Chief Negotiator, Mr. Richard McCarge. The role of the negotiating team was to conclude the check on a contract price for the implementation of the project, which was within the margin of variance of plus or minus 15% of the engineer's estimate, and make recommendations to the Cabinet for its decision on the agreement with the contractor. The team did its due diligence in all aspects of the negotiating process, including undertaking the necessary preparation for negotiation, value engineering, preparation of documents to support the negotiation, including the engineer's estimate and specification, participation in negotiation, reaching a recommendation on terms, condition, and contract price, documenting and communicating the negotiation proceedings. The team subsequently arrived at a recommendation for the scope of work for the project, employers' requirements, particular conditions of contract, the contract agreement, and the contract price. In a decision on March 21st, 2021, Cabinet approved the project to be declared a national development project. The order and resolution declaring the Montego Bay Perimeter Road project a national development project was subsequently approved by the House of Representatives on May 12 and the Senate on May 14, 2021. This decision meant that the project, by the order of the minister, was exempt from the application of the Public Procurement Act. On May 19, 2001, I gave instruction to the members of the negotiating team to advance the discussion and negotiation with CHEC. Arising from these discussions, as well as the necessary interventions from the Attorney General's chamber, several documents were amended and agreed upon subject to Cabinet's approval. They included the draft employers requirement, the particular contract, conditional contracts, the contracts agreement, and the agreed scope of work. Based on the agreed scope of work, both the engineer's estimate and the price proposal of the contractor were updated, taking into consideration taxes that were previously exempt, as well as price escalation from 2016 base rates to the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. New items are also included as instruction by NROC to include the employer's contingency and provisional sums amounting to approximately $10 million. CHEC's revised offer was a little over $306.9 million, which was a 24% variance above the revised engineer estimate, just over $248.4 million. Following exhaustive negotiation, the contract negotiation team and CHEC arrived at the current recommendation price of $274.5 million, which represents a variance of approximately 10.5% above the engineer estimate. The project for this groundbreaking ceremony today has been long and exhaustive, but worth it. Upon completion, this project will effectively link another project currently being undertaken by NROC, namely the Maypen to Williamsfield project, and subsequently with the rest of Highway 2000. Ladies and gentlemen, the revision of linking various centers across the length and breadth of Jamaica is coming to fruition one segment at a time. This Montego Bay Perimeter Road is a testimony to this administration's firm belief that infrastructure development is a powerful catalyst in the process of improving communities, citizens' lives. I wish to commend and congratulate NROC, CHEC, and the negotiating team for their collaboration, a collaborative approach that has enabled us to arrive at this groundbreaking ceremony today, and I look forward to attending the opening of this new corridor in the very near future. I thank you.
Minister Warmington, thank you so much. You've outlined for us the detailed and intricate approach that this government has brought, not just to this project, but to several others, in terms of the vision promoted by Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the man who really needs no introduction, he's one of yours, a member of Parliament for this area, but importantly, our Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chan.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, Most Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness, my colleague members of Parliament across the western region of the island, Ambassador, His Excellency Chen Xiaobing, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This morning I speak not only as Deputy Prime Minister, but genuinely as the John the Baptist on this particular project. But I want to say to Bishop Robinson, I'm not suggesting that Andrew Holness is Jesus. He has saved us from many things, in this party. But indeed, it is for me a particular pleasure to be here this morning at the groundbreaking ceremony, because I've been associated with the concepts of this project a long time. In fact, I've never had the opportunity to outline it, and I'll take 2 minutes to do it. I'm not taking more than 5 minutes to prepare him. We need up here fast. But this project, I'd like to say 2 things on it. One, it reflects the government of Andrew Holness taking infrastructure investment to a new level. It's not just infrastructure by the government of Jamaica. All all the expenditure on this project is government of Jamaica's money. It is your project in many more ways than one. Others have done work, we have borrowed money and done many big projects, but I think the country needs to pause and understand that this Prime Minister and his cabinet has taken the government to a new level and raised the bar in being able to enter into a project of this size with Jamaican resources and indicate the new direction we're going as a country. And the Prime Minister will, of course, elucidate, but right next door is not a huge project, Jamaican resources, extending the Montego Bay International Airport runway. I mentioned these at the very beginning because others spoke of the impact of the road, but it's important because there's always cause for certain kind of activity. And I have potholes in my constituency. I have water problem, and we're fixing them. But the truth is, if we're going to get to the day as a developed country when we don't, as representatives at the national level, worry about a pothole because it's routine maintenance, we have to do these investments. That is what this signal is. Investment of this sort leads to new opportunities for the people of the country, new business, and of course increased employment and prosperity for the people of the country and increased quality of life. I take 2 minutes to explain the concept really because I said, I thought of this particular project, started to go through my mind from 1997 when I came to Montego Bay. It came to the public for in 2005 when I had discussion with a member of the then government, Kingsley Thomas, and I met the then Prime Minister P.J. Patterson. We looked at a perimeter road for Montego Bay. Kingsley was, of course, very interested in getting the hub, this road, because it links the north of Montego Bay with the south of Montego Bay, which is really crucial economic benefit. The Freeport area on the south and the airport on the north, it provides the hub for development on the north coast and the western region of Jamaica. But I, in fact, had a little bit more basic interest. The School of Architecture emerging from Harvard University was beginning to look at the urban challenges of Latin America and the Caribbean. And one in particular went and established a model in a little city where Mr. Greenhouse went to, Curitiba. It was like Montego Bay, a little bit bigger, squalid, squatted, and poverty-ridden. And he set about to reorganize it, and the key to it was to establish an effective transportation system and control the flooding and drainage problem. And Curitiba ended up being one of the most desirable places to live, work, and raise family in South America, and became one of the boom town. It's now one of the finest places. We had some pushbacks that I must note in my colleagues on the other side, because I don't think they understood what was happening. They fully understood it. But one of the spin-off for the governor of Parana State in Brazil is that he became the most popular politician in Brazil very quickly. No. So to my friends, they call me the president of Montego Bay, but I was thinking to become the most popular man at the time. It was an interesting outline, and I actually went to the archives of Scientific American because I'm not a social studies or architectural director, a Scientific American publication which was based on very empirical data and analysis that is required in looking at big projects. And I think this is the kind of thinking that we need to bring to Jamaica's development planning in terms of thinking of what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. And while we have to deal with the basic problems that affect our people daily, we have to raise the bar and look at the kind of things like this perimeter road and the supporting infrastructure that will require an entire redevelopment, the kind of work that's happening at our airport to ensure that we are part of the global economy and can bring genuine opportunities to our country and really development that will lead to the kind of prosperity and improved quality of life we need. That is what comes to Montego Bay, and will make Montego Bay the hub of a new economic zone that will extend all the way from Ocho to Negril. And we can look forward to greater employment, greater level of economic activity, and an improved quality of life for all our people. It's indeed a privilege for me and a pleasure. It took a long route, a lot of discussion, a long route, I might say. All I'll say to my friend, Mr. Deere over there, who was at the beginning too, and we talk about ideas of other roadways, is that I want to thank the people of Montego Bay who gave me the support. And quite frankly, not only because I'm a long-standing member of Parliament. Their support is what has helped me to have the influence to keep the course on this project. And I want to thank the Prime Minister in particular, who has given support to it and brought it to fruition. And we are here today to see not just a groundbreaking, but the beginning of a new era in terms of how we invest and new development in terms of Jamaica's infrastructure development, to lay the foundation for genuine economic development and genuine prosperity for our people by opportunity, not by handouts. That is what Jamaica is like. We are enterprising people. We give them the opportunity, we'll do what is required, and we'll have a prosperous nation living a high quality of life. I thank you, my friends who are here this morning, and I want to again welcome the Prime Minister. My little word of welcome, in a special way, to Montego Bay, and thank the government for starting this project. It's not a Montego Bay project, really. It's a national project that will benefit all Jamaica, and in particular the west and north of Jamaica. Thank you. Have a good evening. We look forward to it.
Thank you so much, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, the Deputy Prime Minister, and certainly representing all of St. James and Western Jamaica. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Jamaica 60, and in keeping with Jamaica 60, we present to you Mr. Dwight Richards, who will certainly bring the cultural vibes back as we prepare to hear from Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dwight Richards.
Independence, yeah. Independence, yeah. Help me now. Wanted to know that I am the man. Fight for the right, not for the wrong. Going there to Montego Bay. Get it some brand new road, call it highway. Soon you will find out the man. Oh, na, 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 na. Die, die, die. Die, die, die. Oh, well, this man don't trouble no one. If you trouble this man, it will bring a bam bam dilla, bam 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 bam. Come on, let's have some fun now. Ah, yeah. Oh, mama, and everybody down, come down, come down, come down, come down. For you pumping, Jocelyn, Jocelyn, come down. Climb down, climb down. For you pumping pride, climb down, now climb down, climb down. For you pumping pride. Today will be a happy day, and tonight, everything's gonna be alright. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, do. Shine, 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 trying to see the light, and when they see it, it's not right. Can this be right? Everybody now climb down, climb down. Fire pump and pride. Come down, now come down, come down. Fire pump and pride. And today is a ground-breaking day. And tonight, I take back myself to Kingston. Let me hear now. Engineer, ready? Stop. Fast forward, just stop. How you feeling? Now, man, say yeah. Say yeah. I just talking because the music have a fast forward. That's the only reason. No. That's gonna work. Cause yeah, all right. Give me some hand. We give thanks. Let's go. Give thanks and praises. We are still alive. Though the road may rocky and the hill may still we survive. With our hand in the hands of the Father, is keeping us alive. Oh, give thanks and praises. We are still alive. Oh, good and how pleasant it is that we can come to Montego Bay, Prime Minister. All races, color and creed can live in peace and unity. Jamaica, now give it from, and to Him we give the glory and praise. It's your time now. Oh, give thanks and oh, we are still alive. Though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, oh, we'll survive. With our hands in the hands of the Father, is keeping us alive. Oh, give thanks. I want us to clap now. Let's clap now. Give it now. So put your one in the ear for our pretty little island, for our loving the nation, and let all the people praise Him, praise Him. Thank you. Chop, 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 chop.
Ladies and gentlemen, wow, Mr. Dwight Richards, always bringing the vibes and certainly reminding us how special it is to be a Jamaican, living in Jamaica land we love. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister, who has a vision for Jamaica, to take Jamaica from developing to developed world status. He has certainly been one to help in terms of linking all of these projects. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica.
Thank you very much, Director of Proceedings, Naomi Francis. Thank you very much for your prayers, Bishop Robinson. You know, Deputy Prime Minister, you gave us a side of you that we didn't know you had, the academic side. You pulled for an article from a developmental journal in urban development. Ambassador, I'm certain you will be giving many more speeches in English. And by the way, you did a very good job. Allow me to establish my regards for all the nice and decent and dignified people who are here. And let me say that I am the man who stands for the right and not the wrong. Needless to say that if you trouble this man, it will bring... Those are words courtesy of one of our poets, Toots and his Maytals. You recall? Yes, yes, of course. And we give thanks and praises. We are 60 years old. And that is by another one of our independence poet, a poet laureate by the name of Roy Ryan. You remember him? Oh, we yearn for those poets and musicians to really and truly capture the essence, the spirit, the aspirations of who we are as a people. It is far more deeper than what we do now. But we are working on it. And I am not here today to lament, because today is a day when we should all feel a sense of accomplishment. And I always take great pleasure, as you know, in visiting the tourism capital of Jamaica, the western urban space of Jamaica, centered around the city of Montego Bay. Montego Bay is pivotal to Jamaica's economy. And as you know, Montego Bay is the home to a great many local and international hotels, the largest and busiest airport in Jamaica. Just by way of note, we are spending from the government's resources over 70 million US dollars on expanding that runway and other improvements. And of course, Montego Bay could be described as the center of entertainment and gastronomy. And for those of you who are wondering, good food. But it has become in recent times the center of our BPO industry, but I'm quickly corrected to say global services. I see Mark raise his head immediately as I mentioned global services. But, you know, I like to think of Montego Bay as the frontier town. This is where entrepreneurism, strong business enterprise thrives. And you can see the energy in the market and in the boardrooms of Montego Bay. So Montego Bay, in my opinion, is the growth center of the island. And if it is given the right support, Montego Bay will expand to become the pearl city of the English-speaking and indeed the wider Caribbean. Of course, that is not the limitations of our ambitions, but today I will be practical. After Kingston, Spanish Town, and Portmore, Montego Bay would be the fourth largest urban area in the English-speaking Caribbean. Many of you would be aware that the parish of St. James was a major sugar producer. Indeed, much of the lands now occupied by the city of Montego Bay were once sugar lands. But after 1832, all that changed. And we recognize 1832 as a pivotal point in the development of modern Jamaica, a pivotal point so that I could stand here as the first post-independence prime minister celebrating Jamaica's 60th year of independence. So I can't stand here without acknowledging our national hero, the Right Excellent Samuel Sharp, Daddy Sharp, who set the stage for our independence, for our freedom, and then independence. Commerce here in Montego Bay has grown tremendously since 1980. And I wonder why I'm saying 1980. I'm seeing, when I said 1980, I could have sworn I saw some eyes raised. No, it's not because of an election or because that's when the Jamaica Labour Party regained a power in the country. No, no, no. 1980 was when Montego Bay was declared a city. So I'm giving you a little bit of history lesson. The challenge, however, is that Montego Bay achieved the city status because it was growing. It did not achieve the city status because we planned for it to grow. And that continues to be the challenge. The enterprise and energy that exists in the people here is growing much faster than the civil and public bureaucracy to manage it, challenge it, arrange it, and structure it. And it's not just a challenge in Montego Bay. We see it happen all around Jamaica. people are not going to wait on government for their prosperity. But the problem is when we individually pursue our own prosperity, it can result in chaos. And that chaos can become the binding constraint to achieving the full potential of the assets within your city. So at some point in time, government has to step up. Government has to play its real role. So I know I would not be exaggerating, and you would not believe that I'm exaggerating when I say that for many of Montego Bay's citizens, traversing the town is almost like a nightmare. In traffic congestion, in the lack of seamlessness and integration of services, in the flooding that takes place, which now seems to be on a 2-year cycle, in the cleanliness of the city, in the maintenance of the city, in the water woes that are happening, having unplanned communities right next to planned communities. So I want you to think of today as an instrumental and deliberate action on the part of the government to address the unplanned growth of your city and to finally place the city on a pathway for it to truly realize its full potential. So your government took the decision to invest in Montego Bay, the perimeter road as it is being described. Words carefully selected because I've always been tempted to say the bypass road, and Minister Chang has always said, no, we're not bypassing Montego Bay. And today I had a breakfast with a citizen, important businessman in the community, and he said, I'm wondering, what will happen when the traffic bypasses Montego Bay. I wasn't, of course, thinking of that because for many persons, traffic means business. And I went to lengths to explain to him that when you have too many vehicles that are not doing business in your town, that limits the business you can do. So you have to give the options for persons who are not going to do business in your town to go about their own business, while the people who want to do business can move about with ease and seamlessness. We are expecting that this investment will dramatically relieve traffic in the town, but maybe not. There is a evolving theory on these road construction projects, and it's really based on the principle, if you build it, they will drive on it. So in other words, the more roads you build, the more traffic you will have. So it is not the building of the road that is going to be the ultimate solution. It is how you build and network the roads, how you make them smart, but more than that, one step further, how you organize the town itself around the road infrastructure. So the road is just one element of what we're doing. And that's the one that you're going to see immediately. But we are also doing other plans in the background, and I will give you some insights on them as to how it will help in the efficient organization of your town and your city. So the critical investment which we are here to break ground for today is part of a significant infrastructural development package and improvement that will drive Jamaica's economic recovery, improve our productivity, stimulate growth, and boost employment in Western Jamaica. This project is about improving Jamaica's cities and townships by planting the infrastructural seeds to our prosperity. your government is improving Jamaica's physical infrastructure and facilities such as roads, bridges, houses, ports, schools, hospitals, police stations, tourist establishments, water and sewer lines, among other areas crucial to national development in improving and in many cases establishing critical digital infrastructure as well throughout our country. Let me emphasize that these types of infrastructural development and improvements are critical to the creation of an interconnected system of efficient and sustainable urban solutions. I want to, at this point, make a connection. I cannot recall, maybe there are persons here who can, but I cannot recall a time in Jamaica when any government is undertaking at once the level of infrastructure development that this government is undertaking. At once. On Thursday, I toured the South Coast Road Improvement Project, going from Harbour View, going all the way around into Port Antonio. And that is ongoing. I went to the start of work on the Morant Bay Urban Center. That will be the first deliberately constructed urban center in Jamaica. Now let me say a little bit more about that for not just my good friends here who are gathered from Montego Bay, but all of Jamaica listening. The administrative management of Jamaica set by the colonial powers was to divide the country into counties, and then to further divide those counties into parishes. Those parishes largely matched the vestry system, where effectively the church ran the civil administration of the parishes. That then morphed into local government. And coming out of the Morant Bay Rebellion, the colonial powers decided that they would take a more direct approach to the management of the civil and civic and governmental affairs of the country. And they established many local government entities and authorities, and in fact, they even established the Jamaica Constabulary Force. They also went about establishing in each parish a town. So the capital of each parish would have a major road, and they would demark it with a clock in the center. So many of our rural urban townships or town capitals were really one road towns. There wasn't much planning put into them. This is not to say that there wasn't city planning. If you notice, downtown Kingston is planned on a grid. Spanish Town, to a large extent, planned on a grid. But not many townships after that. We couldn't say that Montego Bay was planned on a grid. We couldn't say that Montego Bay was planned with a sewer network, that there was provision for water. What happened was that people just found their way. For decades, we ignored the importance of proper urban planning. We bear the consequences of this when every day people are demonstrating we don't have water. I understand. But one of the reasons why the water isn't there is because no one planned for you to live there. And so everybody's trying to catch up to bring the water to where you are living, or to bring the water to where you have established your business. In our 60th year, the most important thing that government can do, obviously, aside from bringing the water to you, is to begin to plan ahead and go before the next settlement, the next development, the next township. But there is a challenge. Because quietly in the back of our minds is operating a thought process which says, don't spend any money on anything you can't eat now. In this audience, there are those who think that way. Don't save now for future investment. Just don't make these kinds of investment because they can't yam. I have seen those comments, and it is understandable why people would make those comments, particularly in a very difficult time like now, where people are literally suffering. They have lost income. They cannot afford to send their children to school. They cannot afford the bus fare. The increased cost of food means that they have to eat less. But they see the government moving ahead with its infrastructure projects. And they must question. They must feel a sense of despair. It is natural. But what is my role as leader of the country? My role as leader of the country is to be empathetic. It is to express to those who feel that these investments will not bring immediate relief and gratification to their current suffering. It is to express to them that this government cares about your condition and your situation, and we are not ignoring it. We are going to do something to assist you and to help you. But it is also to say to the people who are suffering, who are frustrated, who are just now turned off, to say to them, don't allow your frustrations to make you make the mistakes that we made in the past. In the past, we made short-term decisions and sacrificed the future. When we ended up in the future was worse than our past. You are going to have a good future. This crisis will pass, and we will all be together in the better future. And we will ensure that you are no worse off for your sacrifice. And in all of this that is going on about what government should do in responding to the crisis, there is no argument that governments must give cushioning support. Government must help, whether it is with cash transfers for food, cash transfers for electricity, cash transfers for back to school, cash transfers for books and other critical items that the most vulnerable are suffering from. But the best thing that the government can do is to keep the economy growing. The best thing that the government can do is to ensure that the poor can get access to employment. And I was very pleased to see the outturn coming once again, where our unemployment rate has dipped. We now can say we have the lowest unemployment rate in the history of Jamaica, 6%. The lowest. What it means is that the economy is expanding. It is pulling in labor. People are getting incomes. It may not be the level of income that you desire, but it is the start of the recovery. And I ask any reasonably thinking Jamaican, when we have had shocks in the past, how long did it take us to recover? When we had the 2008-2009 global financial collapse and recession, how long did it take us to reach back to the level of GDP which we were in 2009 after the financial crisis? It took us 10 years. When we had the financial crises in the 80s caused by oil shocks and fall off in other commodity prices, we ended up having to borrow, and then it created a debt crisis. In this present crisis that we are now facing, our government is not going on a borrowing spree. This is a fundamentally different Jamaican government. This is a fundamentally stronger government than we have ever had in the past. And I have to be at pains, and forgive me if I'm taking up too much time on this matter, but I have an audience in front of me that I know I can convert into ambassadors to carry back the messages into your boardrooms, into your churches, into your schools, into the markets, and into your homes. That the times are hard, but your government is strong and your recovery is even stronger. So in this, our 60th year, it is appropriate that we start this project, begin work on it, that we acknowledge this as a legacy for Jamaica 60. When your children look back and say, what happened 60 years after independence, you will be able to say, your government built this magnificent piece of infrastructure that has opened up Montego Bay and increased efficiency and productivity. Started in our 60th year. So this is a Jamaica 60 legacy project of which we can market and be proud of it. But it is an independence project. It's a legacy project. Why? Because we are not borrowing $1 to fund this project. We are funding this project independently of our own resources, a demonstration of the fiscal maturity of your government. That means, any money at all, whether it is our money or the money we borrow or borrowed in the past from our bilateral friends, must never be wasted. So we have to ensure that every dollar that we budget ends up in the road and don't end up in anybody else's pocket or in anybody else's house or in anybody else's bank account. Every dollar of it must end up on the road. Now, the managing director, or is it the deputy managing director of China Harbor, Americas, made a profound statement. He said, eventually, China Harbor will become Jamaica Harbor. And I'm glad you said it, sir. I'm very happy you said it. Because we're going to have many more of these projects. And as a symbol of our maturity, not just in our fiscal development, but in our capacity to take on and manage projects of this magnitude. We want to see our local contractors taking the lead on these projects as well. And these are not small projects. 275 million US dollars will be spent on this project. And just to repeat what this project will do, Minister Warmington, some people were looking up to see who is Clifford Warmington. They rebranded you. Everard Warmington, our minister, he pointed out that this project will do 14.9 kilometers of the perimeter road. It will improve the Barnett Street, West Green Avenue roadway, and it will do 10.5 kilometers for the Long Hill bypass, which is going to carry you into Westmoreland. But more importantly, it will do a drainage study. People might be saying, why a study? You know, we have built drains in Montego Bay before. We have paved some earth drains here, and the place is still flooded. To truly control flooding, you have to do a study of the entire area, and you have to understand how your current road network, the levels and how they integrate with each other to carry water off the road and off and away from critical townships and urban areas. So this program will also include a comprehensive study, which means that in the future, we will have a plan for drainage infrastructure, which probably will be as significant as the road itself. But that will come in the future to ensure that we protect our roads and improve the resilience of the urban infrastructure that we're putting in. So I just wanted to point that out, that this is not a small project. $274 million is significant. But if you add to that the $70 million that we are spending on the expansion of the Donald Sangster International Airport, you will see that we are putting in some serious money in infrastructure in the Western area. That money, yes, that money will go to create employment. The same people who are frustrated, who are saying we can't afford, we don't have, government needs to do more. This is one way in which the government will be channeling resources to you through your employment. But we're going one step further, that in the time of crisis, it's not just an unconditional cash transfer that we will give, which we do through our various social safety net programs. But we're going to be targeting the employment of our youth in particular. Because right now, believe it or not, we have a labor shortage, more so a skilled labor shortage. And when I said it a few months ago, you know those people who like to just jump and criticize, don't do any research, don't know what is happening, just criticize for criticize's sake. But we saw what was coming. So for this project, we have created a parallel structure with China Harbour and Heart NTA to ensure that the labor that is used on this project is 90% local for unskilled or general works. And that there is a training component, that it's not just that they will be supervised and then that's it, they will be certified. So after this project, they can move on to another one. They can go to one of the 8 hotel projects that are lined up along this coast. But we have said that for the technical positions, a minimum of 50% locals. And where we don't have the capacity for the 50%, we should have the expat technical expert be paired with a local training so that we can also have the technology transfer. That is structured in an MOU that will be signed between China Harbour and Heart NTA. So we're not just alerting people that, yes, there is a labor shortage. Of course, we know that, but my job is to explain to the country, to tell you, yes, there is a labor shortage, and here is how we are going to treat with it. So we have a labor shortage because, I mean, the truth is the economy is growing and expanding. But other countries are attracting our workers. But we also have to admit that there are many of our young people who don't want to work, who don't make themselves available to the labor force. And so we have to now have deliberate programs of engaging them and saying to them, hey, boss man, instead of chopping, come and work here, so do something that is going to elevate you and not see you to your grave before time. We have to do that. And in this city, in Montego Bay, all of you here listening know that what I'm saying is true. So this program, and I'm appealing to all of you who are here, encourage young people. Those who you come into contact with, here are opportunities for work. And there will be many opportunities in this program. So I thought I would point that out. The last thing I would want to point out, whenever we do projects like these, there are environmental concerns. And we have taken great care to preserve our environmental assets. I know there was a concern that a bird sanctuary might have been impacted by the alignment. I had a long conversation with Minister Matthew Samuda and with Minister Davis, and they have assured me that there is no impact to the bird sanctuary. And I have reinforced that point with the Managing Director of NROC, Mr. Stephen Edwards, who is here, and I am expecting that our contractors, China Harbour, will ensure that our environmental assets are respected. Now, I know that when we do the pre-feasibility, we fly over the drones, we do the ground truthing, but you may very well be using your bulldozers and your excavators, and you could very well come up on a Taino burial ground or some other artifact. Keep an eye out. They are valuable to us. Preserve them. The other issue is the removal of the tree cover. And significant tree cover will be removed for the alignment. The Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, through the Forestry Department, we have signed an MOU with China Harbour. And we are going to be replanting more trees than we removed for the road. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that it's easier to say it than to do it. But I will be personally watching it to make sure that we actually meet the target of replanting the trees. I've also said to them, when we scarify the landscape, as we have seen on the north-south highway, and we leave the exposed limestone surface, when it rains, that gets into the drains, it creates all kinds of problems. So we have to figure out ways to regrow shrubbery. It's very difficult in that terrain, but I'm sure a little bit of science and research can identify which plants would do well in that soil type or in those areas. We can use the science locally to solve these, what I call really minor problems, if we put the effort into it. And lastly, as I close, we have learned some lessons from the other projects, major projects that we have undertaken. We undertook major projects in Kingston, Constant Spring, Barbican, Eastwood Park Road, and then we undertook the massive South Coast Road Improvement Project. And the lesson learned is that the level of dislocation and discomfort that the residents feel, in many instances, it could be avoided in two ways. One, if contractors planned properly, and two, if contractors came to the job with a respect for the rights of the road users and the citizens. So I have said to the NROC people that any works that you're going to do, ensure that the forward planning is done to include provisions for dislocation. Early warning, dust screens, truck to water the road. And I'm saying to China Harbour, our contractors, respect our Jamaican people. I understand that I will have to be saying pardon our progress. But it shouldn't be that things that we can avoid, we didn't avoid. Go the extra mile to make the people who are going to face the greatest discomfort for this progress so that they can feel that their sacrifice is respected. So it is about better planning and starting with a posture of respect. So I want to congratulate the team at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, NROC, CHEC, and the Heart Trust NTA for working together to put this major project so that we can have a start as we are now doing. And of course, the municipal authority for your cooperation in this matter as well. This is a big moment for Jamaica. This is a great moment for every Jamaican. I want to thank you all for coming. And remember that this is a mark of our legacy. It will be done with great efficiency and great pride. When we look back on this day, we will say a good decision, job well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a wonderful audience, and certainly the Prime Minister underscoring the fact that this project will last for generations to come, a part of the Jamaica 60 legacy projects. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister alluded to it. We will have the official signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Heart NSTA Trust and China Harbour Engineering to ensure, in writing, officially, to facilitate training and assessment and certification, which will lead to employment of approximately, the target really is 500 Jamaicans on this project. And so, ladies and gentlemen, may I ask Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, along with Mrs. Novlet Denton Prince, the Acting Managing Director of the Heart NSTA Trust, along with Mr. Hoshin Gu and Mr. Lu Peng, Young Peng, I beg your pardon, the General Manager of CHEC. I believe the media wants to get in place to ensure that they get the perfect photo. So for those who are seated in front, may I ask just for a minute that the media be pardoned while they try to get in place to get their perfect shot. So members of the media, if you could just go in the middle then, or go at a spot that certainly you will be able to get your photograph. So once again, Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Mrs. Novlet Denton Prince, the Managing Director Acting, along with Mr. Hoshin Gu, the Project Manager, Mr. Lu Young Pen, the General Manager of CHEC, the Americas Division, and of course, His Excellency Chen Dao-zhong, the Ambassador Plenipotentiary of China. May I ask for members of the media who are present, we are streaming live and broadcasting live So the cameras to the side and the center, may I ask that you just make sure that you are at a level where the cameras will not pick up your head back, but can get a proper shot of the signing table and the signing ceremony. And so may we ask those now who have called to be present on stage so that we are able to have the signing ceremony take place. That's Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, His Excellency Shen Daozheng, the Ambassador Plenipotentiary from the People's Republic of China, along with Ms. Novlet Denton Prince, the Acting Managing Director of the Heart NSTA Trust, Mr. Hong Shen Gu, the Project Manager, as well as Mr. Liu Yangpen, the General Manager of CHEC, the Americas Division. And as we get sorted, just a reminder that this is in fact a major legacy infrastructure project that will benefit not just the people of Western Jamaica, but certainly the entire Jamaica as we bring development to Jamaica, greater development to Jamaica. And so all the documents have been prepared, and our key stakeholders and partners in this signing ceremony are getting ready to be there and certainly witness the signing. And so this is certainly a very momentous and historic occasion as we ensure that many Jamaicans are employed on this project and certainly working alongside CHEC and being certified as well by the Heart NSTA Trust. Minister Morgan, if you could. And we want each document signed by all those seated at the head table. And interestingly, Jamaica will, in just a few days, celebrate its 60th anniversary of political independence. But as Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness signs this project, we also will witness his very significant birthday in a few days. And so, ladies and gentlemen, he will certainly have lots to celebrate and lots to give thanks for. A visionary in his own right in our country, the beautiful island of Jamaica. A round of applause for Prime Minister. And now the exchange of documents between the Prime Minister, or among the Prime Minister and the Ambassador, the Project Manager, and the Heart NSTA Trust. Opening it to ensure that all can see the signatures there marking this very momentous occasion. And now may I thank everyone here as the Prime Minister greets all. We have one final thing to do at this location, which is the actual groundbreaking, signaling the start of the Montego Bay Perimeter Road Project. Ahead of going over, may I invite, as we seek to clear the head table, and ask the media to get back in place. May I ask that you resettle quickly? And as we have the vote of thanks, may I ask that the officials resettle quickly, and may I invite you to take your seats once again. And we invite Mr. Heroy Clark, the Member of Parliament for St. James Central, to officially do the vote of thanks, following which we will head over to break ground for the historic Montego Bay Perimeter Road project. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Heroy Clark.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed humbled to be standing here today representing the people of St. James. They could not all be here today, and so they have given me the task to stand here and to say to you all, Bishop Ruel Robinson, thank you for inviting God's presence this morning. Mayor Councillor Leroy Williams, thank you for inviting the guests and dignitaries to the parish of St. James. My colleague, Honorable Marlene Malahu Fort, thank you for greeting all those who have been invited here today on behalf of us. Mr. Lu Yang Peng, thank you for being here with us. We understand why you are here, sir. To Mr. His Excellency Cheng Da Yang, the ambassador, we do applaud you being here. We say thank you, and we will say to you, continue, your English is getting there. Honorable Everard, you have taken over that ministry and you're doing a wonderful job. St. James is enjoying your presence at the helm. We thank you. Dr. Horace Chang, I remember in 2005 when you came to us at a management meeting and expressed your desire to have that ring road at the time. Now it is a perimeter road. Some of us thought then that it would never happen. Today I am elated. Today I am happy because I too will be able to say to my grandchildren, in the year of our 60th anniversary, that is what took place. To those persons who gave of themselves culturally, we say thank you for entertaining us this morning. To our only, at this time, the best and the most hard-working Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Andrew Michael Holness, I say to you, sir, continue to do whatever you're doing. We continue to pray for you because we know the visionary you are. St. James is saying thank you for all that. NROC, you have been trusted and you must do the job. We will say thank you as of now for the future. To all those members of Parliament that are here celebrating this moment with us, to those ministers that I'm seeing in the crowd, Minister Shaw, I know you're enjoying just about the same thing over in your side of town, where the highway is going all the way up into the hills. We say thank you for being here with us. To the security force who continue to be here for us, thank you for being here this morning. To the press, both social and hard media, we say to you, continue to send out the right message. We thank you from the bottom of our heart. Most importantly, to the people of St. James, to the people of the country of Jamaica, we from this side of town say thank you all. We hope you will use this roadway for what it is destined to be. Thank you, and thank you again.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, with that comprehensive vote of thanks, it really leaves nothing else for me to do but to invite you to head on over to the site where we'll have the groundbreaking. Just a few notes. There are 2 shuttle buses that will be available to take persons who would like to witness firsthand the groundbreaking to do so. And also, we are attempting to have the pictures on the screen for you for those who will remain under the tent. Thank you so much for your kind participation and cooperation, and do have a wonderful day. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, with 2 shuttle buses, it's not a very far walk, but we do have 2 shuttle buses for those who would like to go. For those who are staying under the tent, the screen in the smaller tent at the back will have the feed that you can witness the historic groundbreaking for this perimeter road here in Montego Bay, St. James.
the month of July and certainly leading up to Jamaica 60, may I wish everyone happy independence. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you may recess
Oh, yes, ma'am. Checking all your which way? You're moving. You still being early. Too far.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Camera. Come this side, from this side. No, thank you.
Yeah, you know where Mr. Monty is? When you park Mr. Monty. And then down
Wait, are you?
No.
And the only girl.
All right, so where is you going to main room?
Watch it.
No, man. As you turn on the clear.
So far, so good, all right?
Yeah, I've been to his neighbor.
So you're going to end up on that main road?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that yours? There's a lot.
There's an empty lot.
All right.